Up next on the forum, how you obtain a GED is about to change. Find out how to get plugged in. Get details about classes to help you better manage your diabetes, plus what you can do to reduce your chances of developing the disease in the first place. Human Services Forum begins right now. Hi, I'm Jan Callahan. Welcome to the Forum. Earning a GED, or a General Education Development Certification, requires preparation and commitment. And beginning with the new year, it will also require computer skills. We have with me today, we have Fontaine Farabee Johns, who works with Chesapeake Public Schools, but she's actually involved in a region-wide program to assist adults with earning a GED and upgrading their skill set. And I want to welcome you to the show, Fontaine. This is all the rage now, GEDs, and a lot of talk about changes coming up, but in the meantime, there are people who are just trying to get their GEDs the way they've been trying to get them for years. Yeah. And they're concerned, but this program actually addresses maybe those who are concerned about getting it done the old-fashioned way, but also to help people get broaden their skills in other areas, because it's very important in the workforce today to know how to do things like operate a computer.
Operate a computer, to develop their soft skills,
yes,
and to be overall ready for the workplace.
Right. Now, soft skills, can you explain what that is for people that don't
being
know?
Able to interview well, being able to know how to dress when they go into interviews, and overall preparing the full package, having the package that's a professional package that will allow them to impress that employer when they walk through the door.
I know that there are a number of students that have gone through the doors and have done well, and those you remember and those who do struggle, but it's still very important that people are aware that it's not easy to walk into the workplace now and just expect that it'll be...
Plugged In will allow those students who earn their GED credential the opportunity to move forward in a way where when they complete that Plugged In program, they'll walk away with a threefold certification. They'll have their GED credential, they'll have their a career resource certificate. They'll also have they'll be Microsoft ready. They will just overall be ready in the workplace. The Plugged In is actually a career pathway program that provides motivated, and I stress motivated, adults the opportunity to earn college credits as they're earning their GED. And in Chesapeake, well, Region 20 as we're called now, because Region 20 actually includes the city of Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Southampton County, Isle of Wight County, Franklin, and one more, and I'm drawing a blank with the one more. Let me check my notes, Jan, because I don't want to leave anyone out. And when I'm checking my notes, I don't want to leave out that one person. Let's start over. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Suffolk, Portsmouth, Isle of Wight, Franklin, Southampton County, and Chesapeake. I was actually leaving us out, I believe.
Oh. Well, we don't want to do that.
Don't want to do that.
Okay, great. Well, that's a large area to cover.
Yes, it is. And Plugged In is absolutely free to the student. We have partnered with Tidewater Community College as our post-secondary resource, and within the city of Chesapeake, our information technology department, who will come together with us to develop an A+ networking program, so that individual who goes through the first cohort of Plugged In for Region 20, they will walk away with that GED credential and the Plugged In certification.
Wow.
I'm sorry, the A+ certification.
A+ certification.
Yeah.
So this is all about partnerships in technology as well as in education in general.
And we're in the process of partnering with area information technology businesses that will be willing to give that student, that plugged-in student, the opportunity to come in and interview and perhaps even obtain an internship so that they are prepared for the workforce.
That's terrific. So some practical experience
Yes.
as well, which is really important so people can take what they've learned and apply it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, who would be, you mentioned motivated people, but is there an age range, or who would apply for this? Who would be your
The
a good
ideal
candidate?
plugged-in candidate is an individual that is at least 18 years old. And as far as a maximum age, we don't have one.
Okay.
But we're looking for the individual that is at least 18 years old and basically ready to go out into the workforce. They have to be highly motivated. We're looking for the student that is at least functioning on a 10th grade level or above. And the reason for this is because it's such a rigorous curriculum. You're earning college credit, you're working on your GED, and you're also working on your information technology skills all at once. So it requires a student that's committed to studying, a student that's committed to coming to class, because this program, within a week's time, the student is only actually in class for 15 hours per week. So it has to be a student that is willing to study outside of the classroom as well.
I see. Well, 15 hours a week still seems like a lot to someone who may not have been in school for a while.
Yes, it does.
So I'm sure the adjustment is great, but as you said, being motivated is certainly part of that willingness to really apply oneself to getting it done. Is there a limit to the number of people you can bring into the program? Or
each cohort, and this is with this being the first cohort for Region 20, we have a maximum number of students of 20. We're trying to develop a cohort that has at least a maximum of 20 students, but at least our minimum is 12. So we don't want our numbers to fall below 12 within our first cohort.
All right, well then that's, and because this is available region-wide, folks in Norfolk who might be watching this show, think about it, and there's a number on the screen you can call to find out more about this. Does this run for a particular length of time? This, like each of, I don't know if you call them cohorts?
Yes, each cohort will run for approximately 6 months.
Okay.
And during that 6-month period, each student will receive counseling services as well as their class instructional services.
Okay. So they get a lot of support along the way,
Yes,
but that
it has to
support
be.
is there as long as they want to move forward.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So this, as you said, through Chesapeake Public Schools is being implemented, and then there are partnerships in the area that provide support and a way to really flesh this whole thing out.
Right.
What else does a person need to know about what they need to do?
What a person who desires to get involved with Plugged In, the first thing that they would need to do would be to call the Chesapeake Public Schools Department of Adult and Continuing Education. For everyone who inquires about Plugged In, an application will be mailed to them. The application process consists of course, filling out the Plugged In application, also completing a workforce development application, which is includes Opportunity Inc. I don't know if you're familiar with Opportunity Inc., which is our workforce development office here in our area in Region 20. So we'll include also completing financial aid, the federal financial aid application, as well as their application for Tidewater Community College.
Oh, wow. Because
it's important to keep in mind that the student will be dually enrolled in Tidewater Community College as well as Chesapeake Public Schools Adult and Continuing Education Department.
It's a lot of paperwork, but that's
it's
good
a lot
practice
of paperwork,
too.
but it's good practice.
All right. Well, it sounds like a terrific program, and I hope that your response to it is great, and that this in turn will be a success not only for the program but for the people that have gone through it. So I think it's it's a wonderful opportunity for people who may have been sitting on this time to go, but once you commit, it's like
Once
Be
you
ready to
commit,
work.
Be committed.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Fontaine, thanks so much
Thank
for
you for
sharing
having
this
me.
program. We have a lot of things going on with GED, and this is one of the many, but
Yes.
an excellent program to consider.
And remember that program, the test changes
Yes.
2014.
On January
January 1st, 2014.
January 1st, 2014, the
New
GEDs go online.
Yes, new computerized test.
That's right. So give them a call over there. Learn how to get your computer skills up to speed.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. Well, if you have been diagnosed with diabetes, stay tuned to learn more about a self-management program to help you live your life to the fullest.
I am for the child who's had 7 addresses in a single year because she's in foster care, because her father abused her, and her mother couldn't believe her. She is the child I am for. I am a CASA volunteer. I am you.
Are you a diabetic or know someone who is? Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia offers a program about how to manage your diabetes. And we've invited Corey Suha, who's master trainer, and Sue Stanley, who's the wellness coordinator, to join us with details. So having been diagnosed with diabetes, one would have to make some lifestyle adjustments, and they can be pretty significant, you know, in terms of how one used to run one's life. Now you've got to face the facts that unless you change, this is not going to stay the same or get better. Corey, as a master trainer, you have lots of information about techniques, about diet plans and such. So I'm sure that in the course of your work day, you encounter people that have a lot of questions and maybe some similar ones. Do you want to touch on what they might often ask?
I mean, diet's a big one. They want to know what they can and can't eat, things like that. So in the course, nutrition is the main thing of the program. Mm-hmm. We talk about healthy eating, carb intake, protein, the big things that diabetics really need to look out for. In the course, we do a section, an activity where they actually group up and they'll do a breakfast, lunch, and dinner meal plan. And so it helps them and teaches them to actually make a meal plan. So they really enjoy that because it teaches them, and they don't really realize. We teach them how to read food labels. That's a big, big thing. And they're surprised at the serving sizes and things like that. So it's a great activities that they learn so much in just the 6 weeks.
Yeah, serving sizes are definitely something that catch a lot of people by surprise because we're so used to, we really don't have a sense of what is the proper portion to consume because we don't have a good example to compare it to. It's pretty much whatever you want it to be, and when it's gone, I guess it's gone, and if there's more, you get more. And that puts people in a position too where they may end up gaining weight. And that stresses their body in a lot of different ways. When people are doing meal planning, do they make some common mistakes about, you know, how much of one type of food to put in their plan?
Well, it opens their eyes because in the books that we provide, it has actual for instance, eggs. It'll say how many calories and all of the information on that
label.
Right. And so when they look at it, a lot of them are surprised. Oh, you know, this has that much and this much. And before we do it, we give them the guidelines of what they need to stick to. For instance, a certain amount of calories or a certain amount of proteins, we want a certain amount of fats. And so for them to stay in that guideline, it's a lot of times they try and stay under, but at the same time, they end up going over in one where they need to go a little lower in another. For instance, their carbs might be really high and the proteins might be really low. And so just adjusting, and it's a fun activity because it really does teach them that, wow, you know, just this activity in itself it's just an eye-opener to them. I mean, but in the book, it has actual what each meal pertains, what count as far as protein and all of that.
So it gives you the facts instead of you just thinking, I think this might be good. Sue, I imagine, you know, activities like this and getting people very much engaged in taking care of their own and managing their own health is a really big deal, and it's of huge importance as we see more and more people either developing diabetes type 2 or just growing older and developing it because age may be one of the risk factors that contributes to that. So as we grow older and stay alive longer, diabetes can be a big deal. So in offering something like this to seniors through senior services, is this a response to people wanting this sort of thing, or was it or something that you saw as a potential need?
This is actually a program that was developed by Stanford University, and it is in response to, you can't look at the news and not hear about diabetes every day. It's in response to what's happening with our population and with the way they don't exercise and they aren't careful about what their nutrition is. And so you do that to your body for so many years, and then there are results that happen as you go along. And so it is in response to that. The great thing about this program is that it is not only for the people who have diabetes or have been diagnosed with pre-diabetes too, it is also for their caregivers, their spouses, people who are their relatives who are truly concerned about this person, and they should attend the class with them. The classes are free. It helps you know what your spouse or your brother or your sister or your, you know, whoever it is you're taking care of, what they need to do, what they're going through. And the great thing about these kinds of classes, as Corey said, it's hands-on learning. These are tools that they can use when they finish the class. It's not, here, I hand you a book, and you're going to read this, and now I've told you what to do. See ya. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. It works with them actually working together in groups, brainstorming, developing action plans, and then following up on those action plans, which is why it's a 6-week program and why it, you know, it's once a week for 6 weeks, 2.5 hours. That's why, because people who feel empowered, and that's what this does, to adjust to their situation, to be able to have tools and say, yes, I can read this label because I've learned how to read it and I know what this says and I understand what a serving size is, and so now I am able to control this so that I feel better and I'm going to be healthier for longer. That's the reason we have this program.
The programs are offered in a variety of locations throughout the region, so if you check the Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia website, it will give you a list of where the classes are being held, when they're being held, what time, and what have you, and who to contact with that particular program. So the variety is great. You had mentioned, you know, the fact that it's not just the person who has the diabetes, but it's all those people that are going to get involved in their lives that need to learn too. So are they a part of the classes as well?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so they're learning along with them.
We want anyone to come because they need to learn too. They need to know what their spouse or their mother or their daughter, they need to know what they're going through, because again, it's not just limited to the health. I mean, we talk about communicating and things like that too. I mean, it's a variety. Dealing with difficult emotions. I mean, it's more to it than just nutrition and exercise, because I know when you get sick, a lot of times you do the you just blame everybody else. And for this program, it teaches you to communicate with your family members, with your friends, with your doctors. I mean, it's very important. It's the overall, I mean, everything.
Great. It's like learning a new language. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. So, well, this is a very positive approach to a disease that has become more or less epidemic, and it's and important that people know that there is a way to learn how to manage it well. And I thank you for sharing a little bit of insight into what these classes are like. They actually do sound like they're fun. And, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And our discussion about diabetes is going to continue in just a moment with a look at the prevention aspect. Some great guidance for all of us when we come back.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love.
Are you at risk for diabetes? How do you know if you are, and what can you do to minimize the risk? Bonnie Mihalchik is a registered nurse with Centera's Senior Living Program, and she and Sue Stanley with Senior Services of Southeastern Virginia are joining us to talk about a very important issue, and that is prevention. We hear a lot about diabetes. People have been diagnosed, how to manage it once you have been diagnosed, but there are things that can be addressed before that becomes
That's exactly
the focus of your life.
There's a lot of things we can't help. We can't help that we're aging. We can't help that our parents maybe have handed us down the genetic card of the diabetes.
Yeah.
But we can do certain proactive things like lose weight and keeping ourselves as healthy as possible. That includes not smoking and exercising. Exercise is a big key in helping prevent diabetes. Yeah. There's some different tests out there that you can take. American Diabetes has a test, diabetes risk test, and it asks about your age, and it asks about if you're a man or a woman. Look around you. Do you have a family member that has diabetes? That your chances are higher if you do. Have you ever been diagnosed with high blood pressure before? Are you physically active or inactive? And also your weight. Your weight is a huge part of helping to prevent diabetes and the complications from diabetes.
Certainly there is a connection there with a lot of people who have now been, identified as obese, overweight, obese, and that percentage is growing.
It's in epidemic proportions in our country. Not just with senior citizens, but even our children now.
Right. So the diabetes is a risk that can hit any age group.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the preventive aspect, managing a weight sounds easy, but it may not be because we are surrounded by so many choices now.
Right.
And,
well, for perhaps a 200-pound person, all they have to do is lose 5 to 7% of their body weight to help decrease their chance of developing diabetes. Exercising, try to exercise about 150 minutes a week, and it doesn't have to be all 30 minutes at a time. It can be broken up, whatever it is to get that heart rate beating.
Yes, that's one of the things too. I think that's come out that you don't have to do an hour and a half worth of working out, 3 times a week, that you can break it into things that are manageable for you and that you might be able to incorporate into your regular routine.
Eating a balanced diet, eating regular amounts of food throughout the day, not a huge meal and then a small meal, but balanced meal plan, portion control, decreasing the amount of sugary foods and drinks that we consume in our diet.
Yeah. Lots of them out there.
All of these triggers, we can watch them all and really help prevent diabetes, or help those people that have been diagnosed with prediabetes, prevent them from getting the diabetes.
And the prediabetes is what?
Your blood sugar is a little bit higher than a normal person's blood sugar, but not quite high enough in the range that you're diagnosed as a diabetic.
So it doesn't go down.
And often it means a few dietary changes and perhaps a little bit of weight loss can bring you right back down into a non-diabetic level.
Amazing.
Yes.
And I know that there, you know, there's bariatric surgery. There's a lot of things that people think that may be the magic solution, and for some people it helps, but I don't know that that's been embraced fully.
Yeah, some people have gone that route, but we really promote the healthy eating and exercise.
And why not incorporate that into your family's way, lifestyle, and your children, which is, of course, the key, and it can be tough to convince a child to eat certain things when all of his friends are eating other
and that's
things.
why I'm such a believer, too, in this diabetes self-management classes, too. I'm also an instructor there, and it's getting the family involved. It's getting the diabetic or pre-diabetic and all the family members involved, and giving them this whole group of tools that they can use to help live along and help prevent the complications of diabetes. Heart disease is the #1 complication of diabetes.
Heart disease.
Heart disease.
Really?
Yes.
So it's okay, because it can affect. It can do a lot of things. It can affect a lot of things, and be the precursor to a lot of diseases. But heart disease, I didn't realize
Is the #1 complication.
Really? What other complications are we talking about too that are related to
Well,
diabetes?
neuropathy, nerve damage in their feet, blindness, loss of limbs from their lack of blood flow, poor healing, many, many, many.
Many things that down the road can develop, and
by not taking care of your diabetes, keeping control of it. And if you have been diagnosed with it, it's so important to do all the things that we teach in this class, and keep your blood sugars within a normal level, and do all these healthy things. And that's what we do at Sentara Living. We try to promote health and wellness, and keeping people, and seniors especially, active.
And if somebody wanted to learn more about the diabetes prevention, Sue, I know that through the wellness programs, that is one way, and there's a number for South Senior Services up on the screen, as well as their website also.
Right. And Sentara Living, we put out a flyer, a newsletter every other month with all the listings of all the classes that we do and what they do. And you can call 757 Seniors Option 2 anytime to get any further information. All of our stuff is free.
Okay, 757 Seniors Option 2.
Option 2.
Okay, well that's good, and it's direct information, something you can use, not just for the person who may be concerned about developing diabetes, but for the families and anybody who wants to make sure that they and their loved ones are living a healthful life, or as much as they can. So really important information, and I know
teaching these classes are a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet.
And
That's
also,
what we're
you do
hearing
not
from
need to be
Corey.
a nurse. Right, Sue?
That's true. You don't need to be a nurse to teach the classes, and we do hold leadership classes all the time to teach people to be leaders in the workshops. It's a great opportunity for you to learn more and to also give back to your community. So if they're interested in that, they can call our office, because we have leadership classes forming all the time.
That's right.
Great. Well, then everybody can get involved in making sure our community is healthier and better for it. Thanks a lot for sharing the information you have. And we will see you again next time. Bye.